I was just thinking about how much the idea of free has changed, especially with software. For like a decade, free just meant a demo that's useless until you pay.
Oh, yeah, the freemium trap.
It was a trap, exactly. You get one tiny feature and then, boom, a paywall.
Right. But if you look at where we are now, what is it, January 23rd, 2026?
Mm-hmm.
That whole playbook is kind of dead. The game has totally changed. Companies aren't just competing on price anymore. They're terrified of losing adoption.
So they're competing for your habit.
Exactly. So they have to give away the whole engine, really, just to get you in the door.
So the free tools in 2026, they aren't demos.
No, they're full-blown products, high-leverage products.
Which brings us to today. We are going to unpack a guide to the 15 best free AI tools out there right now. But I want to be clear, my goal here isn't to just give you a list of bookmarks you'll never open again.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to figure out how these things can actually change the way we work.
Right. It's about moving from just, collecting shiny objects to actually building leverage. So we're going to look at automation, creative assistance, and what I like to call research brains.
Yeah.
And then we'll wrap up with a framework for how you can pick the right ones without just getting overwhelmed.
Okay, let's start with the giant in the room. Google. For years, Google Workspace was just there. It's a utility. But now they've rolled out this thing called Google Workspace Studio.
This is a big deal because it takes the automation that we used to need other tools for, like Zapier or Makely, and it bakes it right into the ecosystem using Gemini.
Okay, give me a real example. Because when I hear automation, I still imagine spending 3 hours configuring something to save me, like 3 seconds.
Fair enough. Okay, so picture this. You get a really chaotic email from a client.
Happens all the time.
Right. It's got 3 different attachments, a messy list of demands. In the old world, you're copy-pasting that into Slack, you're downloading files to Drive, opening a sheet.
The add-in tax, the busy work.
That's it. With Workspace Studio, you just use a starter, which is basically a trigger. You tell it in plain English, when I get an email from this client, extract the due date to this sheet, save the PDFs to this Drive folder, and draft me a confirmation reply.
And it just does it natively?
Natively, no setup.
That is compelling, but I have to ask, does staying entirely inside Google's ecosystem, doesn't that limit you? Aren't we just locking ourselves deeper into their world?
Oh, you absolutely are. That's the trade-off.
Okay.
It trades that flexibility for speed and trust. It just works.
Got it. Okay, let's pivot to the creative side. There's a tool here called Pomelli. It comes out of Google Labs, focused on social campaigns.
Yeah, this one solves the disjointed asset problem.
What's that?
You ask an AI for an image, you get one style. You ask it for a tweet, you get a completely different tone. Pomelli actually scans your website URL. It pulls your brand colors, your fonts, your voice.
So it builds a style guide for itself before it even starts creating.
Exactly. And then it generates a full campaign. Not just, here's a post, but here's the launch strategy, the visuals, the copy, all aligned.
My skepticism here is always around the quality. We've all seen AR art that just looks like generic mush.
Yeah.
So is the value here the quality of the art, or is it just the consistency of the brand?
It's about consistency. It's about generating campaigns, not just single posts. For a founder with no design team, this is a lifesaver.
It's the good enough revolution. Speaking of getting things done, writing. I have to admit, even now in 2026, I still get blank page syndrome. I just stare at that blinking cursor and the friction of just typing. It slows down my actual thinking.
That is precisely what Wispr Flow is built to solve. It's a voice-to-text tool, but it's not like the old ones where you had to speak. Robot.
And then hope it gets the punctuation right.
All right. Wispr Flow is aggressive. It cleans up your filler words in real time. You can stumble. You can rephrase a sentence, say, a dozen times. And on the screen, it just appears as clean prose.
See, that's where I get torn. Because part of me thinks the struggle of typing, pausing to find the right word, that's where the good thinking happens. So if we remove the friction of typing, does that actually change what we say?
I think it does, but for the better. It captures the speed of thought directly.
That's interesting. So it separates the generating from the editing.
Exactly.
Okay, I can see that. Let's move to research. We've all drowned in PDFs, right? You download 20 papers, open 40 tabs, and then you just stare.
The collector's fallacy. You feel productive, but you're not.
Yes. So NotebookLM is pitched as an AI research brain. How is this different from just uploading a PDF to, any other chatbot?
The key word is grounding. When you put your sources, your PDFs, your notes, your docs into NotebookLM, it creates a closed system. You aren't asking the entire internet. You're asking your personal library.
So if I ask it a question, it won't just make something up it saw on Reddit.
No, it stays grounded strictly in the provided sources. It'll give you citations from your own documents.
So it transforms scattered files into a single queryable intelligence.
That's a perfect way to put it. It turns isolated documents into a connected brain.
That feels like a fundamental shift from just searching to synthesizing. Okay, let's talk meetings. There's a tool here called Granola.
Great name.
It is, but we have a million AI meeting bots. What makes Granola different?
Well, most bots just give you a transcript, maybe a summary. Granola focuses on structure. It uses these things called recipes. So if you're in a client check-in, you pick that recipe. It knows to listen for things like, what did we promise? What's the deadline? Who's responsible?
So it filters the whole conversation based on the purpose of the meeting.
Precisely. And then it can draft the follow-up email automatically.
So is the goal here to record the meeting, or is it to trigger the next action?
Oh, it's purely about triggering the next action, effectively.
I like that. Records are useless. Actions matter.
Right.
Okay, this next one hits close to home. Task paralysis. When the to-do list is so big, you just nap.
Goblin Tools. This is a cult favorite, and for good reason. It's designed for neurodivergent users, but honestly, it's for everyone. You type in a huge, scary task like plan the company off-site.
Which is terrifying.
It is. You hit one button, and it breaks it down into research venues, set budget, email the team, and you can keep clicking to break those down into even smaller, less scary steps.
Why is breaking a task down so often harder than actually doing the task itself?
Because we get stuck on the how. This just solves that. It takes the burden of executive function off your plate.
It outsources executive function. That's a really kind use of AI.
Okay, sometimes text isn't the answer. We've got a few visual tools here. First, mymap.ai.
This one's for your logic brain. You can just dump a paragraph of text, maybe a complex process, and it turns it into a flowchart or a mind map.
And the goal here isn't to make it look pretty, right?
No, it's all functional. It's
Yeah.
for spotting the holes in your logic. When you see a process visually, you instantly see where the dead ends are.
So does seeing an idea visually expose flaws that text hides? Definitely. It instantly highlights gaps in your logic.
Okay, so my map is for logic. What about explaining things? This list mentions Napkin AI.
Napkin is like a translator. It takes dense text bullet points, paragraphs, and turns it into those clean, sort of hand-drawn style diagrams you see in presentations.
So I don't need design skills to stop using giant walls of text in my slides.
Exactly. It just lowers the barrier to communicating visually.
So is this basically a translator between, like, writers and visual learners?
Precisely. It makes dense text instantly scannable.
Okay, and then there's Draw AI. This one seems messier by design.
Yeah, it's an infinite canvas. It's for that really early, messy thinking. You can scribble a stick figure in a box, and the AI will clean it up into a diagram, or you can draw a rough wireframe for a website, and it'll actually write the code for it.
It really feels like this is for the napkin sketch phase of an idea.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's very low stakes.
So does a messy interface actually encourage freer thinking than a really rigid one?
I think so. Yes, it lowers the stakes for just starting an idea.
Okay, I want to jump to something much more technical now. N8N. This is listed as the heavy hitter.
Yeah, N8N's a beast. It's an open source automation platform. So think of it like Zapier, but you host it yourself.
You host it yourself. That sounds like a lot of work. Why would I do that instead of just paying for a cloud tool?
2 reasons. Privacy and power. If you're dealing with sensitive data, maybe you don't want to send it through some third-party server. With N8N, it stays on your machine. And because it's open source, you can build these incredibly complex, multi-step AI agents that would cost you a fortune on a paid plan.
So is the steep learning curve just the price you pay for having total control?
Yes. You trade ease of use for limitless power.
For the right person, that's an easy trade. Let's talk models. We have this problem now where we don't know which AI is smartest this week. ChatHub seems to deal with that.
It does. It's a browser extension, and it lets you run the same prompt through GPT-4 and Claude and Llama all at the same time, side by side.
That seems like more than just a novelty.
Oh, it's a huge reality check. You start to see that these models have distinct personalities. One might be really concise, another might be a bit moralizing, another might just make things up.
So does comparing models reveal that AI has distinct personalities?
It reveals their unique reasoning styles and biases instantly.
Yeah.
And if you want to build with these models, the list has OpenRouter.
OpenRouter is basically a unified plug. So instead of managing 10 different subscriptions and API keys, you just use OpenRouter to access everything. It's the ultimate try before you buy for anyone building with AI.
So it's the gateway to testing everything without commitment.
Exactly.
Okay, we're getting near the end, but we have to talk about how we consume information. Podcasts, obviously. They're great, but they're linear. They take time. Snipped is trying to change that.
Snipped solves what I call drive time amnesia. You know, when you're driving, you hear some life-changing insight on a podcast.
And by the time you park, it's just gone. Every single day. Every day. Snipped uses AI to transcribe and summarize the show, but the killer feature is the snip. You just tap your headphones, and it saves the last minute of audio, transcribes it, and syncs it to your Notes app.
So you're turning passive listening into, like, active library building.
It just respects your time.
But are we listening to enjoy the journey, or are we just trying to extract data?
I think Snip lets you do both. You can enjoy the flow, but capture the data when you need to.
And finally, search. Perplexity AI. I feel like this one has had the biggest impact on my own workflow this past year.
It's the death of the 10 blue links. We used to Google something, click 5 different links, dodge all the ads, and try to piece together an answer ourselves. Perplexity just answers.
Whoa. But the danger there is trust, right? If it just gives me an answer, how do I know it's not just making it up?
And that's why the citations are the whole product. It shows you its work. It footnotes every single claim. In 2026, trust is the scarcest resource there is online.
So is the citation the most important feature for trust in 2026?
Without citations, AI answers are just confident guesses.
Confident guesses. That is a terrifying thought. We also, we skipped over Headline Studio real quick. That's just a simple feedback loop for titles, right?
Yeah, simple utility just scores your headlines so you're not publishing into a void.
Simple, but effective. Okay, so we just walked through 15 different tools, and I can almost feel the anxiety coming from the listener, like, do I need to download all of these, get a new account for everything?
Please do not do that. That is the tool overload trap. The more tools you have, the more time you spend maintaining them.
So what's the framework? How do we actually filter this down?
I like to think in 4 buckets. You have creation, thinking, automation, and learning. And you are allowed one primary tool for each bucket.
Just one.
Just one. If you have TeleDraw and MyMap and Napkin AI, you're not working. You're just playing with toys. Pick one that actually fits how your brain works.
And for automation.
You choose your level of pain. If you want something easy, go with Google Workspace Studio. If you want total power and privacy, go with N8N. But don't try to use both.
So is the discipline of just saying no to new tools, is that the real productivity hack here?
Eliminating tool clutter is the ultimate efficiency upgrade. It really is.
That feels like the big idea. The critical insight for 2026 isn't just that these tools are free. It's that they only matter if they remove friction.
Right. Leverage is the goal. If you're spending your time managing your AI tools, you've already lost. The AI should be managing the work for you.
So here's the challenge for you listening right now. We covered a lot of ground.
Pick one. Just one tool from this list. And then tie it to one specific recurring task that you absolutely hate doing.
Maybe it's that blank page. Maybe it's the meeting follow-up emails.
And just master that one workflow.
Yeah.
Use the tool until it disappears, until it becomes second nature. Then, and only then, maybe consider adding another one.
I think that's the healthiest way to approach this. Because if the tools are free and the capabilities are basically infinite, then the only limit left is your ability to clearly define the problem you want to solve.
That's the new skill.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you in the next one.